Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this, episode number 32 of the RDO podcast. As always, you're with the Auto Bros, Jason and Alex Von Cannell. How are you this morning, my brother?
Shit.
You shit?
Yes.
Oh, and why is that?
Well, I want to start by talking about your family's attempt on my life.
Is that... I didn't realise I was doing this podcast with AOC.
I wonder if it was premeditated. So basically, I've been bedridden for almost 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get colds.
Mm-hmm.
But I made the mistake of visiting patient 0, also known as Nate Von Cannell, last week when he was he homesick as well for, like, he wasn't going to daycare that day?
Well, it wasn't a daycare day because he came down last Thursday.
Thursday, yep.
So we did end up keeping him home one day that week anyway because he was sick, yes.
So after that moment, I was fine. Saturday, Sunday, sore throat. Monday, Tuesday, could barely move.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday, just completely congested.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday, fatigued.
Mm-hmm.
Today is now Saturday, and I'm only I'm still not over. You can probably still hear it in my voice.
Yeah.
It was a biological attack. It was it was unlike anything I've experienced. That severity. Mm-hmm. Well, sorry, I used to get. I think when I've been run down, I in the past, like overly stressed or something.
Yeah.
When you get hit with cold, you got hit pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because I had not been sick for so long, it was the worst case of man flu I've ever had. I was absolutely battered.
And how long were you at the house for?
Oh,
was it
35 minutes?
Yeah, like less than an
I think
hour.
I touched him twice.
Yeah.
Like a high five.
Yeah.
and super AIDS.
Yeah.
I got super AIDS. Scurvy.
Yeah. It's been pretty intense, and to the point that so normally daycare says if they've just got like a runny nose, as long as it's clear, just keep sending them to daycare because every kid goes through it. They all get the sicknesses. You have to build the immune system up. And again, like I've talked about it multiple times because I got sick too. Amanda got sick as well from him. But the daycare centre had actually sent out a notice saying that if your kid had those symptoms, to actually keep them home because whatever it is has swept through that entire centre, including taking out a lot of the childcare workers too, who are used to these, being exposed to these biological attacks. That's right. So yeah, it's pretty intense. So I think it's probably time that we start thinking about lockdowns and potentially experimental vaccines.
It shut down my business.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I did nothing last week.
Yeah.
I was done. I
It was an early one,
and it was
hard. Definitely an early one.
But what on a positive note, I did finish season 8 of Homeland, the final season of Homeland. And have you watched it?
No, because
it's on Netflix.
Homeland was one of those shows where we started watching it together back in the day, and then you got a few episodes ahead, so I just dropped off. So I've only ever watched the first season and then a little bit of season 2.
Oh, it is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure out of the 8 seasons, there was one that was crap, but 7 from 8, amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. Okay. The writing, the sets, the acting, Mandy Patinkin and Claire Danes.
That's one of the names, that's one of the best names in Hollywood. Mandy Patinkin.
Mandy Patinkin plays a great character. Claire Danes is an absolute beast in it. I can highly recommend. It's on Netflix.
For anyone who doesn't know, Mandy Patinkin is a boy, by the way.
He's an old man, yeah.
Is a bloke. Yeah.
What else did he do? He was big in something before. Homeland, I think he's been in every season of Homeland.
Yeah. That was definitely his biggest thing. Has he been in one of those other, like, CSI or something like that?
Maybe.
One of those sorts of shows?
Well, everyone's been on Law and Order, haven't they?
Dun dun!
Yeah. So, that was the one highlight, but yeah, I've been wrecked.
Yeah.
I've been wrecked. And this is what I don't understand.
This particular sickness is particularly heinous?
I was talking to a friend he's got a kid as well. And I was saying, how does this little prick give me something? Like, I've seen the world. I've toxified my body countless times. Like, I've been around,
Yeah.
I've lived on this planet for 34 years, and I've touched things that you're not supposed to touch. I've ingested things you're not supposed to ingest. And then this little guy comes in, how old is he? 18 months old? No, 14 months old?
Come on, bro. uncle, he's 13 months old.
Oh, whatever. He's one. He's one.
He's one of the bit.
He's one. And created some new biological attack.
Mm.
How does that work?
It's just pathogens that you're not exposed to. Because I was the same. Like, being in retail for so long, I rarely got sick. I might get sick once a year, and if I got sick, it was 3 to 4 days, and then you'd get over it, and just be little colds or something like that. And this is, you're going through flu season where, like, customers would literally walk in, sneeze into their hands, and then shake your hand to greet you afterwards. And this was before the days of COVID, so there was no hand sanitizer everywhere. Like, there was no, if people were like Glen 20ing their desks back in the day, you thought they were half OCD, right?
Yeah.
And I rarely got sick, but it was because I guess I was so used to being exposed to all of those adult viral pathogens. Whereas, because again, I've never been around children until I had one. So now I'm getting anything he gets, I get smashed by it every time.
Insane.
But I am noticing my immune system's building too, because the first couple of times he got sick and I got sick too, it was taking me 2 or 3 weeks to get over it. And then there was that one point where I was sick for like 2 months straight.
Yeah.
Whereas this time, I got sick probably last Friday was where it really bedded in for me. But I'm good now.
Yeah, so that was just a reaffirmation for me that kids aren't for me. The little disease pockets.
Because you can't handle them.
No, you shouldn't have to. It's insane. Oh, it's amazing having a kid. Yeah, you're going to have super AIDS.
Yeah, that's all right. When I'm old and frail, he'll be looking after me.
I'll have robots looking after me.
Yeah, you might do, actually.
Yeah, and they won't make you sick.
They probably will, though.
They won't.
No, they might cut you and give you tetanus.
No. Anyway. So, last week we spoke about your DEXA scan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we had a couple of people, I don't know if they commented on YouTube, but I know some people had called me to predict the results.
Yeah.
And what I noticed, people that have had DEXAs before, they knew the metrics, and I'm very close. Yeah, and they could tell just by, like, the shape of your body. So a mate of mine just called me, and he's like, Jason will be this, and you'll be that. And he was within one on both. So
what probably... There was 2 main things that made me underestimate what my body fat percentage was. Number 1 was pure arrogance.
Yeah.
But number 2 was, before I went and got the scan, I Googled some like pictures of like what you can expect a body to look like at different body fat percentages. And I compared myself to the pictures, and I was like, oh, I'm probably around the one that's like early to mid-20s. So that sort of threw me off as well.
Well, Tasha showed me that image as well. She showed me 4 different images, and why I didn't use it is because out of the 4 different images with the 4 different scales, they all looked completely different.
Right.
So I was like, I can't make a judgment.
Yeah.
Or off that judgment, I look like 40% body fat.
Right.
Is what I thought.
Yeah.
So anyway, my prediction was that I was going to be more than you.
Mm-hmm.
Bit hard to be more than you when you were so much higher than what you thought you were going to be.
Yeah. I am an overachiever.
Obviously, and an overeater by the looks of it too. So I went and got mine done. Now, we have had some debate on like my test or my scan. They put me under different conditions to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so my ones asked me to fast prior, so no water, no coffee.
Yeah.
And apparently this particular office is known, they did the study to show the benefits of doing the scan without food, working out, or water prior. Yeah.
Whereas my one just told me to eat normally. And so I had water, coffee, I had oats. And one of the difficulties with a kid, and I think this is why a lot of fathers get that dad bod thing, is it's probably every second day where I'll make myself breakfast and I'll make Nate breakfast at the same time. And Nate has 3 bites and then just doesn't want any more. And then I don't want to waste food, so I end up eating his. So that was one of those mornings as well too.
Maybe you should take some of your son's attitude towards food. He's full after 3 bites and just moves on.
Yeah, I have to learn some of these things, for sure.
Obviously.
Absolutely.
So I went in on Monday morning. 9 o'clock was probably not a good... Like, that was a long time to go without water. The coffee thing I can do without, that's fine. But the no water, I was a bit, like... I was desperate for a glass of water.
Because on the RDO podcast, we obviously let everyone know about how important it is to drink water first thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning. So, And also the time in the scanner was very different.
Mm.
Like I reckon I was in the scanner for 5 minutes.
Yeah, we really we've compared not only results, but we've compared experiences. So what can you remember the company that was
Oh yeah,
that you went through?
Physique Science. in
Physique
Brisbane.
Science. So I went through Q-Scan, and I've got to say, from comparing just the experiences between the two, I'm not real happy with the level of service that I received at Q-Scan. And there was a slight price difference. Like mine was $75, yours was $90.
Mine was only $90 because it was like a consultation one where they do the scan and then actually go through the metrics. So I believe the next one I do is $75.
Yeah, but so I was never offered a consultation, but mine was $75. But if I go and get another scan within the next 12 months, it's $55. So you would assume that the reason why there's the extra charge at the first one is because you get a consultation like what you
Where was yours?
Q-Scan in Parkwood.
Okay, so do you reckon the property price difference is different in Parkwood to Tenerife in Brisbane?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But the level of service from a service shouldn't be any different.
Yeah, you'd think so.
You know?
You'd think so.
So that was one of the differences. But even just some of the metrics that were on my scan. So one of them was the bone density thing. So with bone density, they give you a thing called a T-score. And the T-score lets you know, are you in the normal range, are you above average, or are you maybe at risk of like having lower bone density. And mine was like, it's got a T-score section and it was just left blank. Now, I don't know if that meant I'm just normal or there's just no score. I'm assuming there was supposed to be a score in there. And they gave me a bone mineral density figure.
Yeah.
And I'm Googling all over the internet trying to find, okay, so how does that figure relate to T-scores? Could not find it on the internet.
Well, I've got it on this.
But you had it on your scan results. So it was only by actually viewing your results that I could compare my my bone mineral density grams per square inch to your graph to actually figure out what my T-score would have been.
Yeah.
And I scored in a normal range.
Speaking of T-virus, that's what I think I got off Nate.
Yeah, probably.
If you haven't seen the Resident Evil movies, get on it.
Then you probably should, because it's coming for you.
Okay, so I thought we'll go through my results.
Sure.
So I think the best way to do this is I'll read out the title. Mm-hmm. You say what you were.
Okay.
So and then I'll say
one up.
Yeah. So you bring yours up. Yeah. Shout out to Physique Science, because Tasha went and did hers on Friday as well, and I think I roughly remember some of her
results.
Her results, yeah. So height will start.
So height I was 185 centimeters.
183.2.
You short ass.
Yeah. So I always knew there was 2 centimeters difference. So that's
Midget.
fine. So that's.
I have lost a centimeter though from my license, because my license was 186.
Well, my license is 185,
right?
So I've lost more. Weight.
So total body mass, I was 102.9 kilos.
Now, going into this, we definitely thought, because every time I weigh myself, I'm 105.
Yeah.
Okay, but my weight here was 101.7.
Yeah.
Which is less than you.
Yeah.
Less than. Okay. Age.
32.5 I got for age.
Well, I actually scored... Yeah, 34.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, should we just go...
Well, my main results are sort of a little bit more well put out. So maybe, do you want me to read them out and then you find them on your document?
Yes.
All right. So my lean mass was 64.010 kilos.
Lean.
So now, just for everyone at home, lean mass means not just muscle, but it's muscles, ligaments, tendons.
So, sorry, your lean mass was?
Do you want me to do in grams or kilos?
Do grams.
So 64,010 grams.
Well, that would be less than me, which is 70,590 grams.
Yeah. So...
Which was not so going into this, definitely did not expect that, that figure.
No, I didn't expect that either. My fat mass, total fat mass, was 35,750 grams.
My fat mass in grams was 29,658.
Yep. Bone mineral content.
Yep.
was 3,184 grams.
This is the one that I'm lower than you. 2,612.
Yeah, because you've got a bitch-ass skeleton.
Which you don't need a great skeleton when you've got as much muscle as I do.
Well, like I said, I think your lean mass, because I don't think it's muscle, I think it's primarily ligaments and tendons trying to hold your weak-ass skeleton together. So total body fat percentage was 34.7%.
28.8%.
So just let that sink in for a moment. Because so for a start, you thought your body fat percentage was going to be higher than me?
I thought it was going to be over 30.
Right.
Just judging off some of those pictures that I had seen, and I was kind of thinking that you would dilute the number you thought. I thought you would be like 30, and I thought I was going to be like 32.
Yeah, okay.
But that's based off nothing. Obviously, we had no idea.
No, yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
The people that had these done before were bang on.
Yeah, for sure. Like our boy Good and Loud out there, he was pretty much bang on what he thought I was going to be. And we're body fat percentage twins. Now, this is one that, so before I go to when I get my next scan done, I'm going to find somewhere else to do it.
I just found something interesting online.
Oh yeah,
my weight on the scale is different to my total mass.
Yeah, because you had clothes on.
Yeah, but then my weight is lower than my total mass.
Oh, that means your scan's wrong. So it means all of your results are null and void.
Yeah, so it's out by
By how much?
A kilo. 1
So-
kilo. So my weight shows 101.7. But what I would say, they just stood me on scales to get that.
Right.
Whereas the scan, if I had to pick which one was the correct one,
You'd go off the scan.
I'd go off the scan.
Yeah, for sure.
But then again, you wear clothes on the scan as well.
Yeah, but you would assume that the scan would be able to differentiate between what's clothing and what's...
You'd like to think so. On a side note, the image that it shows you of your scan is disgusting.
It's not flattering.
I literally said to the lady, I said, "Is that a stock image that's on there?" She goes, "No, that's you." I'm like, "Ooh," and I'll put it up on the camera just so the people that are watching it on YouTube, they can see it.
Yeah. Look really close and you can see the outline of his package as well.
It's
not nice.
It's not nice. It's not nice. Now, so the thing that I got out of it was, in terms of my lean mass, I was actually bang on point where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So, on the handwritten copy that I was given, she'd written like where I should be in terms of like what the numbers should be.
Yeah.
I've got too much fat.
Yep.
Okay, so the fat I definitely need to reduce.
Yep.
She said don't look at the body fat percentage is not the right metric, she said.
It's a total amount of fat that you're holding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's actually both. She said the total mass and your lean mass. Those are the two figures you need to look at, not the ratio between the two, but you need to lower the fat one and raise the lean one.
Yeah, because it's how obviously percentages work. Because if you just like the easiest way to lower your body fat percentage is to just lift really heavy weights and put on as much muscle as you can.
And starve yourself.
Well, no, because if you're building muscle, then the more muscle you build, if your fat stays the same, your percentage of body fat will go down.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you're any healthy and you haven't lost any body fat. You've just built up muscle. Whereas if you go the other way and you just starve yourself, you'll lose body fat, but you're going to lose muscle mass as well at the same time. So your percentage probably stays about the same.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting to take away from, because going into it, we thought that body fat percentage was me going into it, I thought that was the be all and end all. I thought that was the critical.
Well, it's obviously an important metric to look at.
Yeah.
You know.
But the big down one for me was the bone density.
Yeah.
And
because what was your
my T-score is -1.
Yeah. So you're at increased risk of osteoporosis.
No. So I'm above just above the line of increased.
Well, I think you're just on it. because a -1 would be just on it.
So judging by the little arrow where it is on and compare the line, she said it's nothing to worry about now as long as you do something about it.
Yeah.
And she thought the reason why it was low was probably because I've not lifted.
Yeah.
I haven't done weights for years.
Yeah.
So and that's something else I didn't realise either. I just thought it might be like a calcium because I don't have a lot of dairy, so I thought.
Well, I think it's both. Like because you would have a lower intake of calcium than I do. Because I don't drink a lot of milk, but I'll occasionally drink milk. I eat a lot of cheese as well, which is obviously got a lot of dairy in it. A lot of calcium in it, sorry. So...
Well, this is what I was surprised, because I was adamant that... So I thought it was potentially the partial vegan diet that I have, because when Tasha makes me the bulk of my meals, I just eat vegan when I'm at home.
Yep.
Or if she makes me lunch at work. Mm-hmm. And I thought that she supplements. And then when I spoke to her, she's like, no, I don't. She does not supplement for calcium.
Okay.
Then when she did her test, she's at she was just under you for
bone density. Yeah.
Bone density.
So there's a
1.2. You were 1.28. She was 1.218.
Yeah. Yeah, I was 2.184 was me. I think she was 2.118.
Yeah.
Which is grams per square inch.
1.2. It'll be.
Oh, so you're talking about T-score. I'm talking about...
No, not the T-score. The body...
the bone mineral density.
Mineral density?
Yeah.
Was 1.28 something for you, and she was 1.218.
I think I've got her results. Let me check.
Because this doesn't go to 2.
Well, mine did. I said 1.284 was mine.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, you said 2 point...
No.
1.284. 1.284 and 1.218. Yeah. So it's not diet.
Yeah, she was 1.218.
Yeah. So
So I've got you on bone mineral density, Tasha.
Yeah, that was the only thing she got, that you got, or anyone got on it.
Oh, I've also, if you talk about skeletal muscle index, I've smashed her on that too.
Yeah, she's also 50 kilos.
This is something that I find really interesting. And this is why I'm a little bit concerned about the food that I ate in the morning. Because it was oats, and it was a decent amount because I ate mine and I ate Nate's, and it had a banana mash through it as well.
Oh.
And the reason why I'm a little bit concerned about it is because, the skeletal muscle index is the score on how much muscle you have in your limbs, so your legs and your arms, relative to the amount of fat. Now, your skeletal muscle index score was...
What's that one? This one? 2,370?
No. So,
Oh, it's on this page.
So it'll give you a score. So my skeletal muscle index was 9.56. I'm pretty sure yours is 9.46.
I can't see that.
Here, pass me a paperweight.
I can't see the measurement. So, going back to the calcium thing. So I thought it would be.
Oh, it's this one here. Appendage lean. It's lean divided by height squared, which is kilograms per meter squared. So you scored a 9.46, and I scored a 9.56. So what I find interesting is that our weights are roughly the same. Our lean muscle, or our lean mass, is different by 6 kilos. So you've got 6 kilos more lean mass than I do, and yet I scored a higher score on the skeletal muscle index, which means apparently it's 6 kilos different in our trunks.
Right. But could that not just mean a different, the way our bodies are put together is different?
Well, look, potentially, but it would suggest that you've got more than 6 kilos different, more than 6 kilos more lean mass as opposed to fat mass in your trunk than I do. So I don't know, I just find it confusing because weights are about the same. I've got higher muscle to fat ratio in my arms and legs than you do. And yet I'm still 6.5 kilos behind you in lean mass compared to fat, which I just found that confusing. Yeah. So again, it could be about makeups and stuff like that. But what I'm concerned about, because my visceral fat mass, like my tummy fat, was like 2 kilos or something. And I'm just concerned that maybe having that food in my stomach has potentially upped the fat score. And I could be dead wrong. It could be exactly right. And it could have differentiated for the oats. But I just found that a little bit confusing in that, you know, like, yeah, the 6 kilo muscle difference is a big difference.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
I know you would.
And I know why you wouldn't.
Yeah.
I know why you wouldn't believe it. So, so what I've done to change, so I need to reduce the fat.
Mm-hmm.
The training stuff I just need to maintain. I think that's going
Yeah,
on.
well, I mean, like, if we go back to... When did you start actually going to the gym?
Start of the year.
Yeah.
So 2021 was Time to Thrive. That was the thing. So I started the first week of 2021.
Yeah. So, and like that in itself is going to solve a lot of problems. Number one, you're going to build more lean muscle mass because it just happens when you lift weights. Number two, that is going to contribute to your bone density because a lot of people don't realize, but if you do weight training, it actually increases the strength of your bones as well.
Yeah, so that was the part that's the part that I had no idea. I had no idea. So after I did my test, my trainer was having coffee, and we were talking about it, and he got me to send the results, and we went through sort of line by line, and he gave some really, really good insights, and he was pretty happy with it, not happy with the visceral fat, but in terms of the bone mineral density, he's like, oh, we'll get that.
Yeah,
up.
you'll sort that out.
Yeah, and I've started supplementing calcium just to help. He's like, the lady at the thing, she recommended it as well. So get a calcium and vitamin D supplement. So I'm on that, and he was like, it's good that you're going to supplement it because when we're doing these weights, you want to be able to give it something to use, give it the fuel to use to build that bone density. So we'll get them rescored in 3 months' time.
Yeah, I reckon we do the scans every 3 months.
Yep.
Because, like, obviously people do 12-week challenges and stuff like that. I think 3 months is enough time if you change your habits to see real changes in your body composition. And the biggest thing I love about this stuff is it's data. It's black and white. Well, it's as black and white as it can get. One precursor I'm going to say, my next scan that I go and get, regardless of where I go and get it, I'm going to fast before I get the scan as well. Because to me, it just makes sense. Like, we're doing a body composition scan, so why would I have anything else foreign inside my body that may juggle the results? So, my next scan, you might see a bigger difference between the two scans than there probably should be, which might just be the food difference.
Yeah, but it won't matter because the next one after that.
That'll become my new baseline, and I'm going to do it that way, sort of every single time.
But what? So then Tasha got hers on Friday.
Yeah.
And went and got her results, and she was 15% body fat.
15.2.
15.2.
Which, again, one thing that's really interesting about that is, so both men and women, you have a thing called essential body fat. So there's a percentage of body fat which is essential, which basically is used as the energy source to power certain functions in your body during the day. It's like respiratory, heartbeat, and something else. Now, in men, the essential body fat percentage is somewhere between 2 and 5%. So if you go underneath that, it's completely unhealthy. You're doing the wrong thing because your body actually needs that essential fat to survive. Women is higher. It's like, I think it's 12 to 15% is essential body fat. So she scored 15.2%. So she's literally bang on where she should be as far as how much actual body fat she's holding.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Everything was good, basically. Everything was really, really good.
Yeah.
And what the lady that took the test was a different lady too, although we went to the same place, was a different lady that I had. She kind of said something that she probably didn't put Tasha at ease as much as what it should, which was, were you trying to get these figures?
Right, okay.
So it makes me think that, like what you said about that 15.2 bang on.
What do you think that maybe there are ways that you can manipulate?
No. That if you could be unhealthy and get those metrics,
Right.
get some of those metrics.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but that's not Tasha's case. Like, she works extremely hard.
Well,
She's extremely.
I think it's actually difficult to be unhealthy and get those scores because if you're unhealthy, you're not going to have the muscle mass.
No, but maybe the body fat percentage you could have.
But the thing is, the body fat percentage will be relative to how much muscle mass you've got. So if you're not putting in the work, you're gonna have less muscle mass, which means your body fat percentage will actually go up.
Well, I'm wondering if in a woman you could potentially just have so little mass that you could have that 15% mass but be unhealthy. That was the vibe
Right.
that I got from it.
But Alex, it's 2021, mate. There's no biological difference between men and women.
Yeah. The scan there is.
Yeah.
So, but I kind of needed to bring her mentally to reality and say, well, no, you worked really hard for this.
I also think too that maybe the reason for a comment such as that is because her results would be probably an outlier when it comes to the regular people that have coming through there. Because in Australia we do have an obesity epidemic.
Yeah.
So as far as body mass index goes, I think we're both
obese.
just into the obese category. And I never used to give BMI too much stock because I used to be fit and muscular back in the day.
Obesity 1. Just into obesity 1.
Yeah, because they do it out of, I think it's like 35 is the max, right? So it was
No, this one goes to 45, obesity 3.
Oh, really?
And I scored like a
30.5?
30.5.
I was the same. And again, that all that is weight to height.
Well, it was funny, when she printed this out, the first thing she did with the pen is cross out that. She crossed out that whole section. She's like, don't use it.
Yeah, cool. And yeah, because look, BMI, it is one of those things. It's literally just a weight to height ratio. Yeah. So if you're a short but ripped bodybuilder, your BMI is going to say that you're obese when you're not. So, but I think that Tasha's results would be, they're optimal results.
Yeah.
And I don't think that any of these people doing scans are probably used to seeing optimal results. I think because 60% of Australia is obese. So I would say that the vast majority of people who are getting scans are at least overweight. So perhaps,
Yeah, maybe, the amount, she was an outlier.
Yeah.
That's probably...
I can remember a similar sort of disconcerting statement was when Nate was born. Because essentially, I can't remember if I've gone into it on this podcast before, but my wife went through a pretty brutal childbirth experience, which ended up resulting in an emergency cesarean section. So for any people with kids out there, it's because there was a failure to progress. So you guys know what that means. But I'll always remember the surgeon who pulled Nate out was like so surprised. They're like, "Wow, he's so big and healthy," and I was like, "Huh?" And then she goes, "Well, normally when we're doing Caesars, we're pulling out blue kids, underweight kids, all that sort of stuff." So there was actually nothing wrong with Nate the entire time. It was just a failure to be able to progress through to a natural childbirth. So it sort of struck her because she's so used to pulling out kids that are compromised.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas Nate was the polar opposite. He was big, pink. They do this, I can't remember what the test is called, but they do a test when when the baby's first born. I think you get a score out of 10 or whatever it is. And they test things like their colour, how much they move around, if they're crying or not. Like it's a level of health when they first come out. And I think he was like a 0.5 off the max score, which they're just not used to seeing in that scenario.
Yeah.
So Tash would be the same. They're probably just not used to seeing those sorts of results.
So I like the results of the tests because it definitely gives me some targets and some things. Yeah. And look, one of the things was a no-brainer. I knew I have too much fat.
Yeah.
Like, I know that. So that's definitely something I'm working on. The bone mineral density, I had no idea. It's not something I ever would have guessed. And if you don't know, you don't know. No,
that's right. And that's the thing too. Like, when you think of things like bone mineral density and osteoporosis, you normally think of older women. Like those are normally the groups that
Nice how you said that. Like
that
was
typically would potentially
that was a
be
subtle attack.
at increased risk of osteoporosis. But I mean, look, it can be your 34-year-old male as well.
It could be 34-year-old male that has well, you need a stronger bone density because you haven't got the muscles to hold you up, and you're carrying a lot more fat.
Yeah, see, I like because the other thing too is
you're like a scaffold that has to be double the thickness because the people that are on it are fat.
But what is interesting too about like lean mass and stuff like that is that there's a
Mine's
difference.
lean,
well,
and
there's
yours
a
isn't.
difference between lean mass and strength.
Well, we've never tested that.
Well, how many pull-ups can you do?
Don't know. I haven't tried.
Oh, I haven't tried, have you? I
haven't tried. But if you're only training for that specific test, put in the comments what you think. Like, we probably should do a fitness challenge.
I think we probably should.
That's what we should do.
Yeah.
Because, the stats are one thing, but how do they relate into the real world? We don't know.
Well, I have noticed, though, so normally when it comes to physical pursuits, you would quite willingly relegate yourself to second place because, as you've said before, you don't really put as much stock in them. So you only just started training again recently.
Yep.
I played sports for a lot longer than you did, all those sorts of things.
Yep.
But I've noticed that you're emboldened by these test results.
No, it's not. It's not that at all. It's more about how to relate the data to real life.
Yeah.
Because, like we said, the perceptions that we had were completely flipped.
Yeah.
So now, like, what if in reality, what if those things don't relate into the real world? That's what I want to know. It's not. It's not for the reason that you think.
Well, it's also good too, I think, because one of the things that I'm going to be doing. So let's talk about what we're doing from here instead of just going through the results, because I think we've probably gone through the results.
We've done the results, but I also want people to put in the comment what do you think what is the truest and fairest way to test the fitness difference between us.
Well, I suppose
I could talk to the trainer about
your trainer would probably know. If I had to guess, I would say if you're looking for strength metrics, it would be how much you can deadlift. That's probably one of the most practical, real world applications of strength because we pick stuff up every day.
Yeah.
Look, like you said, pull-ups might be like I know that. In the army, for example, you need to be able to hit a certain amount of, it's like pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups to actually be able to get into the army because they look at them as fitness metrics. But again, real-world application for pull-ups, probably not really there unless you're, trying to save yourself from, I don't know. Like
that's what my attitude is, that you only need to be able to do one pull-up. But when I say one, I mean like a real one. Like,
a real one.
Because for that
it's probably more so one muscle up rather than a pull-up, which is pull up to push down to actually get up something.
Well, you put in your comments what do you think is the fair thing, because if you just say it's chin-ups and then all you're doing is pull-ups to train for it, obviously you're gonna thrive in that. So I want the truest and fairest way. I'll talk to the trainer and see if he...
If I had to pick one real-world metric, it would be how much can you deadlift? Because that's how much weight you can actually pick up in the real world.
We'll put it in the comments. Write in the comments, and we'll do some research and come back to you. We might even maybe film it.
Might have a challenge. Some of the other things that I'd be looking at too. Beep test. We could do the beep test. Is probably another one for as far as cardio fitness goes. Because I do want to get back into doing a bit more running as well.
Well, so you don't have to worry about the time spent on the beep test. The assault bike would be able to bring that down into minutes as opposed to
for sure
tens of minutes.
But again, if you're looking at real world practical applications of strength and fitness, the beep test is probably more practical than an assault bike.
I don't agree. I don't think you're ever going to use that.
Well, when are you going to use this in the real world? For our audio listeners, and if you don't know what an assault bike is, it's a bike where you've got your pedals going as well as your arms, like an elliptical machine.
Well, if you're trying to,
and I'm doing that movement without having an assault bike.
If you're trying to push bike your way out of a zombie apocalypse, that's what it would look like.
Yeah, but you're not doing this with the handles.
Yes, you're punching. No, you're punching zombies. You're riding punching zombies. I can see. I can see why that.
So that's definitely got more of a real world.
That's running away from the zombie and then seeing another zombie and then running back.
That's definitely got more of a real world application than just running away from the zombies. Rule 1 in Zombieland was
Cardio.
cardio. Rule number 1. So, look, beep test is probably a good metric. Like I said...
Well, we won't decide. You decide. You put it down and we'll bring some...
Well, you talk to your trainer too.
Yeah. We might do it in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe a Saturday that you come up. Because I think they finish their session at like 10.
Right.
I'll talk to them.
Yeah, cool. Have a chat. Now, but you need to talk to them, you need to let me know the metrics so I know what to train for as well at the same time. And we also need to consider the fact that I'll be training myself, whereas Alex will be getting professional because he needs professional help.
He'll be fair about it. He'll make it so, like, he'll probably introduce things that, like, knowing what Matt's like, he'll probably introduce it in a way that is absolutely shocking to both of our systems. Well,
possibly. But the other thing too is that then this is an indictment on his business and his skills, because if we've got the same genetics and you get beaten by someone without a trainer, then like he ain't shit.
Or he doesn't.
Or he doesn't.
And then we'll get some deal. You know, you'll get some podcast deal.
Okay, so but before we actually do this, so let's get what the metrics are. Let's go through a 12-week training camp. I want to check you for tracks before we actually compete.
I'm not injecting anything.
Getting on the juice.
Although, so if there's any horse trainers out there, contact me direct.
Yeah.
Personal message me.
Yeah.
So we'll try and put something together. I think. Sorry, and not for. This is not. For me, it's not an ego thing.
No.
This is how does that information translate into the real world?
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing too, is it's like, metrics are great, and when you know the actual data, metrics are great because it actually gives you something to aim for.
Yeah.
Like we talk about all the time about whatever it is in life, having a plan. And the thing is, if you've got goals, they need to be SMART goals, which the M in SMART goals is measurable. So you need to actually measure your progress. One of the difficult things about fitness, for example, is if you do a test today and then you do a test in 12 weeks, a lot of the times it can be affected on a whole range of things as to how much you can lift, how much you can run, etc. It could be, did you get a decent sleep the night before? It could be, what have you eaten beforehand? Like, is your immune system currently compromised? Like, are you fighting something off and therefore don't have the energy for it? So that can be difficult. I really like the scans because it's a black and white metric. Yeah. And with the way that my brain works, and you know this, I'm very target focused. So if I can see the numbers, I can understand the numbers, I know where to go. One of my problems that I had when I really started getting back into lifting weights, which is late last year as well, is I lost that 5 kilos and I thought, bang, sweet, that's heaps of body fat that I've lost, happy days. And I've maintained about that level. And then I honestly thought that when I was maintaining at that level, it's because I was losing fat slowly and I was building muscle slowly, and therefore I was staying at the same level. Now, look, that might actually be the case. Like if I would have had a scan back at the start of October before I started the fitness challenge, I might have even had a much higher percentage of body fat. Who knows?
Yeah, you won't know until you get your second one.
Exactly right. So I'm really, really looking forward to really being able to use this to stay focused for, and again, this is lifestyle change now. This is not just doing a 12-week challenge to try to get the best results I can after 12 weeks. Like, I'm not doing anything drastic to change this. I'm just making smarter decisions every day.
Yeah.
So things that I'm trying to do at the moment is I'm trying to train every single day. And it's only small amounts. Like, yesterday, for example, I was pretty tired, so I walked Nate to daycare in the morning, and I was telling you I was a bit annoyed because my phone ran out of batteries about 2 k's from home, and I reckon the total walk I would have went on was about 10 k's, but it didn't show up. So obviously 10k walk, that burns a lot of calories. And then when I got home, I just did a really, really simple lower body workout. And it was 3 exercises, and I was just doing 5, I was doing a round of 5 reps for each exercise, and I just did that 5 times. It was very small, it was very short, it was very efficient, but I did something.
Yeah.
Whereas, I think I'd probably gotten too much in the habit over the last couple of years, especially after doing my knee, where the rehab was you had to do work, but you had to do a lot of recovery too. I think I'd gotten too much used to the idea of, I'm getting older now, so I can't train every day. I have to train every 2 days because I need that recovery time in between. Whereas you can train every day, but you just have to do a
It's
different
just
muscle group
different,
every day.
yeah.
You know, so you let the muscle group you train the day before recover while you're training something else the next day. Or some form of movement. If your muscles feel completely done, just go for a long walk. Have a swim in the pool. Like something.
Well, it might be interesting
something.
to see because I'm counter to that. So
Right.
I'm only training twice a week.
Yep.
It's intense.
Yep.
And we could see by maybe not the next scan, but you know, 2 scans away from now, like what that has led to.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
what I would like to know, I would like you to get the strength metrics out of Matt.
Yep.
Because he is a trainer.
Yep.
Get those
We
things.
can probably go see him after this.
Cool. Because I think we need to set ourselves a fitness baseline based on those metrics now as well.
We'll talk to him about it. We'll talk to him. He'll know.
Yeah.
I think that's enough of that. I want to talk about something now.
Mm-hmm.
We'd spoken about it during the week.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I want to bring it up now is because we're sort of 45 minutes in.
Right.
Most of the people have dropped off by now. And it's super, super, super sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to use any of the words that are going to get us blocked on YouTube.
Right.
Okay, so we need to be cautious of we need to be smart about how we say it.
Okay.
And we'd not spoken about this before, but we have spoken about this subject during the week.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how some women have shared some things online in regards to not being assaulted.
Right.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, I saw a couple of posts from people on socials, from women on socials, saying, how about men take responsibility for assaulting women?
Mm-hmm.
And when you want to assault one, just don't.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we should be teaching our kids.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think you and I have both had the exact same thought on it.
Mm.
I want to bring it up. I know it's
It's
sensitive.
unpopular.
It's it is extremely unpopular. But I want to discuss it because I believe that thought process is dangerous.
I agree. So, where it gets down to for me, the number one thing that it gets down to is a personal responsibility thing. So, when you're saying, hey, when you're thinking about sexually assaulting someone, just don't do it.
Yeah.
That's saying, I want everyone else to change their behaviours or to do certain things to keep me protected. And this probably comes from, like, there's a lot of woke activism on woke subjects, which I see as the same thing, which is instead of me taking responsibility for my own actions, it's telling everyone else what they need to do to keep me safe.
Yeah.
And it is you have the fact is you have to do everything. Like, I've just had a son. I will be educating my son to respect women. I was brought up to respect women, right? But at the same time, if I have a daughter, which my wife would love to have, I will be teaching her things like how to protect herself. And the thing is, I feel like there's... I remember seeing it, it might have been when the Jill Maher case happened. And I remember seeing I think it was a police commissioner or someone came out and he was on the news and he was saying to women, like, you need to actually be careful, because I think she walked home alone late at night and unfortunately what happened to her. And he got absolutely roasted.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and look, women, quite rightfully so, it's not fair.
It's not fair.
It's not fair. I understand that it's not fair. That you have to change the way you look, where you go, the way you behave. That's not fair. I get it. But it's reality.
Yeah.
And the problem with this narrative of all bad things happen because men are miseducated when they're younger, it puts all of your safety in their hands.
Yeah. Which you have no control over.
You have no control.
Yeah.
The only thing that every single one of us has control over in this life is ourselves and our behaviours. So, whilst education is important, perhaps if you are a female who is concerned about your safety, perhaps you need to educate yourself on things like self-defense, martial arts. Like, some people will be looking at me like that's ridiculous. There are so many martial arts that you can train yourself on that the average Joe Blow is not going to know about, which can at least give you some way of defending yourself if the worst case scenario is to happen.
So I totally agree with that line of reason. What I also want to add, and what I think a lot of women don't understand about men, is we do that risk assessment all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so an example. I'll never walk into a room that I don't know about without knowing or looking where the exits are.
Yep.
Every time.
Yeah.
It's ingrained into me. I'll walk into a place and your brain starts to fire off and go, if this place set on fire, where's out?
That's right. Who are the shady characters?
Yeah, you're constantly assessing.
Sizing up.
You size up
people.
every single person that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
I try to identify if anything is a threat, and this is a constant thing that most men think about all the time.
Now, I wonder if some of this does come down to biological difference.
It probably does, but I don't want to go on the weeds with that. Right. Okay. What I want to say is that I've seen examples, I've experienced examples in my own relationship where Tasha's risk assessment has gone straight out the window. I think I've spoken about it in this podcast before. We're in Athens.
Yeah.
And she was just on this, she wanted to go shopping. She hadn't realised, no, we were walking down the street and I kept swapping sides with her. Yeah. And she's like, why are you swapping sides? And I literally turned around and I'm like, because this crackhead is following us.
Yeah.
Like, that's why. He's been following us for 3 blocks. And she didn't notice.
Yeah.
But I noticed, right? Because we're constantly assessing. Then we want to go down another street. And I'm like, we're not going down there. Yeah. All she could see was the sale signs.
Yeah.
And it was full of homeless people.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, my risk assessment said, well, no, we have to pass 10 people. It's not worth.
That's right.
A
the
25%
risk reward is not.
It's not there. It is something that men do all the time. Now, we have probably a higher threshold for what is dangerous for us. So we might walk through a dark park. We might walk through more dark parks than what a woman would. But there are times that I won't.
Oh, 100%.
There are certain... I remember... I've lived in really good neighbourhoods, but I knew that there was like, homeless people or shady character. And not the homeless have really caused any problems, but it was how I felt. I was like, well, I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm in the dark and I'm outnumbered.
That's right.
So I won't go that way.
Yeah.
Right? So...
And look, in a perfect world, it would be really nice to not have to think about those things.
Yeah. But
it's not a perfect world that we live in.
It's definitely not. Now, the reason why I don't like that attitude towards it is, like you said, you putting the onus on everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's like saying, stop the animals from biting you. Stop the bugs from stinging you.
Yeah.
Stop the sun from giving you a melanoma. If you put yourself in those scenarios, you need to be prepared for what could potentially happen.
Yeah.
You can't ask those things to stop. You can't ask those factors to stop. And also, I also want to say, we aren't training our sons to assault people.
No.
They're outliers.
I don't know any parent who is going out of their way to train their sons to do that to women.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone. And you're right, they are outliers. And the thing is, if, like, sexual assault or harassment is a crime, it's the same as any other crime. Crimes are committed every single day.
Yeah.
They're not committed by the majority of the population.
Yeah.
They're committed by the minority of the population. And unfortunately, there is a minor part of our population which are outliers who do not play by the rules of everyone else.
Yeah.
And that can be for any number of reasons. Number one of which, I believe, is mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave you the example during the week of you might have an autistic man who sexually harasses or sexually assaults a woman because he doesn't actually understand that his sexual advances are not being taken the right way.
Yeah.
He doesn't know because that doesn't have that.
And asking that person to not do that does not.
Well, exactly
doesn't
right.
work.
Exactly. Like it's an impossibility. So
I'm with you. So I mean, I think if there's one thing that you pull out of our entire series, it's about taking personal responsibility.
Personal responsibility and personal development. For sure.
Yeah. So I want I want anyone that thought that line of that reasoning, I want you to actually take a step back and really
And I've seen some of that stuff shared by people I know who even have just recently had daughters. And again, I would love to have the conversation, but I'm probably not close enough with them to actually have these. And just ask the question of like, okay, I understand that you want your daughters to grow up in a safer world. I get that. But what are you actually going to teach your daughter? Are you going to teach your daughter that it's on everyone else to not assault you?
Yeah.
Or are you going to teach your daughter that maybe it's on you, that if you are walking home alone late at night, which maybe you shouldn't be doing depending on what area you're doing it in, put your mobile away. Like the amount of people who walk around these days just staring at their mobiles, they have no idea what's happening around them.
That's a big
and
one.
it might not be a bloke, it might be a wild dog that's around there that's about to chew your leg off.
Yeah.
Like,
could be a car going under control.
Could be a car. Could be whatever. But essentially, like what you were saying before, the more you put yourself into these situations, it's just a numbers game.
Yeah.
The more you put yourself in a potentially risky situation, the higher the likelihood goes that something will go wrong. It would be exactly the same as if every single day when you crossed the road, you didn't look both ways before you crossed the road.
Yeah, us
you were
cars
like,
not
you
to
know
hit.
what? I trust that these cars won't hit me.
Yeah.
But then one day, you'll have someone who's not playing by the rules, who's looking at their phone while they're driving, so their eyes are down, you've walked out into the road, and they hit you with that car. Like, it's ludicrous to me when people are constantly asking for other people to change their behaviours to make your life better.
Yeah, because the bulk of us, the 99 percentile, is not the problem.
That's right. It's the outliers.
It's the outliers. And the outliers aren't reading your tweets.
Mm-hmm.
They aren't picking up social cues.
No.
They don't care. It's
That's
not...
right.
They're being irrational,
Yep.
emotional. Like, none of... You're not... Well, what's worse is you're not even applying logic to your argument. Okay? Because it's not a logical argument. It's a... Anyway, I don't want to go too deep into it. I just want to say I think it's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It's not a smart. It's not a smart reasoning behind. Like, it's a strategy that is destined to fail.
Yeah, and again, this is probably another hallmark of wokeism, which is it sounds great. It sounds like that's the way that it should be.
Yeah.
But it's not the way that it is.
Yeah, ask the sun to stop giving you melanoma.
Yeah, and the reality of the situation is that civilization, particularly in Western cultures, is far safer now than it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could never live in a safer time.
Mm.
And the thing is, in a country like Australia, perspective is really important. You actually need to understand how good we've got it in this country and how safe people are in this country. Because if you go to certain other parts of the world, like, they're not having these conversations because people are just getting butchered. Like, I think it was Nigeria recently where something like 200 girls have just been kidnapped?
Yeah.
Like, that ain't cool. But those people who are stealing those girls, they ain't reading your tweets going, oh, maybe I just shouldn't rape. Maybe I shouldn't kidnap young girls.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
So, would you go to those countries and just wander around in the streets waiting to be picked up and then go, no, like, I tweeted about this, you shouldn't do anything to me. No, you wouldn't, because that would be ludicrous.
Yeah.
You would remove yourself from that situation. Well, the reality is we live in a relatively safe society. But I say relatively safe.
Yeah.
It is not safe. That's why we still need police.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the 1%ers.
It's the 1%ers. And you need to do things to protect yourself. And I think it starts with having the attitude that you need to take responsibility and protect yourself. And again, it doesn't sound nice, but like you said, I think the reason why, men never get told, oh, don't do this, don't do that for your own safety. We never get told that. We should. There are certain things that men do every single day which put themselves at risk as well. And I would say that the majority of assaults in the street are man-on-man violence. It's not man-on-woman.
Yeah.
It's two drunk blokes getting into an argument. Like, I've been jumped in the street multiple times. So I stopped putting myself in those situations.
Well, I've heard stories from a lot of my gay friends that when sort of sexual encounters go wrong, they'll just punch on.
Yeah.
Whereas it's much rarer in a...
And you don't hear about that.
Yeah, it's much rarer in a male to female. It definitely happens, but it's not the norm. But I think a man has no qualms in hitting another man.
For sure, and I think that's one of the really interesting things that you realise when you get older and you mature a little bit, because female police officers was always a big thing for me, where I go, look, females physically aren't as big, aren't as strong, aren't as physically capable if an altercation was to happen. But the reality of the situation is the majority of violent male criminals, if they're like, say there's a fight that breaks out and a guy is assaulting another guy, if a female police officer intervenes in that, they can actually de-escalate the situation far better than a male can.
Yeah.
Because a male to male, the criminal's going to challenge that male police officer, whereas they're generally not going to challenge that female police officer.
Yeah.
So there are massive benefits there too. But that's the thing, like, at the end of the day, it is all about personal responsibility.
Yeah.
It is all about preparation. Like, it is all about...
I know guys that won't wear neckties because they don't want to get choked.
I always look at ties like that.
Yeah.
If something was to break out, it's one of the first things I'm grabbing. Because if you just grab that tie knot and twist it, you're choking someone. And also, you can control that person because you're holding on to a very delicate part of the body.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that is something that I think as men we are, you know, you go back to hunter-gatherer origins, I think we're constantly looking for threats and we're constantly looking for risk but also opportunities as well, which is why you get some opportunistic males who will do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're constantly looking for it. Again, every single person, you need to try to take care of yourself. Me having a child has even made me more aware of these things, because I remember back when I was working at the adventure park as a safety supervisor, the first rule of safety was you can't save someone else unless you're being safe. So what that was about was, like, I was working at a high ropes course where you might have a kid get stuck in a section and be hanging there and are crying and are distressed and that sort of thing. And one of the first response is to try to get to them as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
Now, there's a fast way to get there and there's the right way to get there. And the right way to get there was to keep your carabiners hooked up the entire time, which takes a little bit longer, but it keeps you safe.
Same as when the oxygen comes out of the airplanes.
Yeah.
They say do you first.
That's right. You have to put the oxygen mask on first before you can help someone else. So I understand. I've got a child now who relies on me. And look, this is also an unpopular subject. Children get abducted in this country every day. Doesn't get spoken about on the news. People don't even think it's a thing. It's a thing. It happens in this country every single day because there are bad people out there doing bad things, men and women alike. Look at the Epstein thing. Ghislaine Maxwell was a woman who was grooming chicks to go to the sex island. She's a female. She is just as predatory as any predatory male that's out there, right? There are just bad people that do bad things. So I understand having a child. I was like, okay, I need to get faster, stronger, more capable, more education on how to defend myself, because in the unlikely event that someone tries to kidnap Nate when we're at the park, I want to be able to do something about it. And again, that may never happen. I would love to get to the end of my life and never have that scenario come up. But I would have also liked to get to the end of my life and never have the scenario where I get physically assaulted in the street or in the McDonald's drive-thru, which if some of my mates who are watching here, they know about the time that I designated drove out to Surfers Paradise and we had some guys get out of the car in front of us in the Macca's drive-thru and start punching my mate through the window. And I had to get out of the car and quell that situation. I would have loved for these things not to happen, but they happened.
So do you know, at a red light, I pull my car up only so far as to where I can see the back tyres of the car in front.
Yep, so then you can actually manoeuvre out if you need to.
Yeah, and I've had the same scenario. For no reason, someone came out of the car and just started belting my window.
Yep.
And it was only because I was parked I wasn't so far behind him. And most people just park almost bumper to bumper.
Yeah, bumper to bumper straight up.
But you got nowhere to go.
That's right.
So
which even is a stupid idea just in case the car in front of you breaks down. Because then you can't even just get out.
Yeah.
You know, especially
but that's
behind you
that
as
risk assessment.
That's right.
And it's about preparing for any potential risk. And we're not, I'm not saying it because it's a dangerous world. It's not. It's actually very safe. It's as safe as it's ever been, like you said. But it's a 1% chance.
Yeah.
So cover the 1%.
That's right.
What I'm saying.
Every time you leave the house, there is an opportunity that something can go wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying...
Do you leave your house open?
The house.
Do you leave your house open, unlocked when you leave?
Yeah.
Everyone locks the house. There's an example of when of when you have taken personal responsibility for the contents of your house.
That's right. But we don't see internet campaigns going, people just shouldn't rob. Because everyone knows that. Like,
it's obvious.
Growing up in a society, it's obvious. We sign a societal contract which states, I will not rob my neighbour's house.
Yeah.
You know? But some people do it.
Yeah.
Because they're the outliers. And again, it could be for any number of reasons. It could be because, like, you could have a extremely normal person who's never committed a crime in their life who decides to try out a new drug one day. Tries ice, for example. And then goes completely out of their minds. Like, look, one of the things that gets spoken about a lot is what happens when people are under the influence. And alcohol comes up a lot of the time. So a lot of the time, I guess, you will have a predatory behaviour that happens to a female when she's under the influence of alcohol. Because obviously that alcohol has maybe taken away her inhibitions or, you know...
Or body function.
Body function as well. Yeah, that's a big thing. But the exact same thing happens with men too. Obviously, if men drink too much alcohol, then certain tendencies can come out, depending on the bloke. Some of them can be violent. Sometimes you might not pick up on the fact that that the woman is more drunk than you are, maybe. Or if someone takes a drug and is just a completely different person. Like, you see it all...
I've removed myself from clubs because I had seen someone in there that I deemed to be a threat.
Yep.
Not necessarily to me, but to someone, and I'll remove myself from that situation.
Yeah, because you just get, this is not going to end well.
Risk reward.
Yeah.
Do I really need to hear this banger of a song?
Yeah.
Or do I need to remove myself from potential risk?
That's
I've done that.
Yeah. And, like, I don't... like, this is probably going to come across the wrong way, but it is a really privileged thing to say, like, everyone else needs to change for me. Like, it's
the wrong line of questioning.
It is the wrong line. Like, the only thing that you can actually control is yourself. So if you are the person who is going, all of you people need to do all these things so I can be safe, it's actually pretty selfish. The best thing that you can do is to protect yourself, number one, educate yourself on the best ways that you can protect yourself and behave, and then do that with the people that you love. You know, teach those people how to behave and how to protect themselves, and do whatever it is that you can to protect your family. And again, we've
also been there where your friend at the club has gone way too far.
Yeah,
you get them out there. You get them out of there. You get them home.
Yep.
You get them home safely. You make sure you're there with them safely.
And I mean, every single person knows someone who has gotten drunk and done something stupid.
Yeah.
Right? We all know that person. We've all been that person as well. Like, that's everyone else too. So if you're putting yourself in a situation where you're around a bunch of drunk people, the chance of something going wrong goes up. Not saying not to do it. I'm saying when you're out there, understand the risk, be aware of your surroundings, move away from people that you think are going to be potential risks. Like, you know, one of the things I hear women talk about all the time is, like, you know, when I'm walking down the street at night and I see a man coming towards me, I have to cross the street. Guess what? I do that too.
Yeah, I do.
Because why would I invite an altercation?
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm fairly capable, but I'm smart enough to know it's high risk either way.
Yeah.
Whether I can win an altercation or not is irrelevant. I'm going to come out of that potentially scarred.
Yeah.
I might, like...
Risk reward.
Risk reward.
Is it easy... The risk of you having an altercation compared to not having an altercation, the reward is far better. Far better from removing yourself from that scenario. So...
and blokes, capable blokes out there, the number one thing that you can do when an altercation breaks out, run. Remove yourself from that. Because whether you think you are the best fighter on the planet or not, it's a luck game in the street. Because all that it takes is if you get hit, it's not the punch that kills you. It's when you fall and you hit your head on the pavement that kills you.
Yep.
It is too risky.
You could have run. Yeah, you could have the best hands in the world. You trip over the wrong way.
Yep. Or you could be hit by someone else who's behind you that you don't see coming.
Yeah.
You know, like, so at the end of the day, what we really want to say is we want to change the dialogue around this subject. I am all for protecting women. I love women. I understand that there are violent men out there who do the wrong thing. I also understand that those people are not going to cease to exist, at least in our lifetimes.
Yep.
They're not going to. So, in the perfect world, that would happen. We're not in the perfect world, so what can we do to protect ourselves? Take the personal responsibility, educate yourself on the things that can protect you. Like if you, I like watching a lot of podcasts with like Jocko Willink, for example. Now, Jocko Willink is one of the most masculine, he's an ex-Navy SEAL, toughest guys on the planet. But he talks about self-defense all the time. And his number one rule in altercation, run.
Yep.
That's your best line of defense. Just run away.
Yep.
Because even though he's spent 25, 30 years in the military, in combat zones overseas, he's in the
1%.
He's in the top 1% of the world, he would still rather run because he knows that's the smarter play.
Yeah.
And
be smart.
Just be smart and do what you need to do to actually protect yourself.
And that was not meant to offend anyone.
No.
That was genuine, and that's not to degrade or diminish.
We're having this conversation because we care enough to have the conversation.
Yeah.
Because the easiest thing to do to get clout is to virtue signal that, all men are violent and dirty and they need to change. Well, I don't believe that those violent men are going to change. So the only thing
they're not watching your podcast.
No, that's right. The only people who can change is us. So we care about you. We want you to be happy, healthy, safe. So do what you need to do. Find someone like a Jocko Willink to listen to, or anyone. Tim Kennedy. Tim Kennedy runs a program in America called Sheepdog Response. And it is about training regular people to protect themselves and their flocks if something was to happen. It's just about being prepared.
Yeah.
Because these things may never happen, but they might.
They might.
And if they do happen, you want to be prepared.
Cool.
Beautiful.
That's it.
All right, guys. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll see you next RDO.